the boy made a terrifying discovery while driving. He saw a masked man tossing blood-soaked duffel bags into an underground pipe. But what he saw was only part of the horror. Inside that tunnel was something far more disturbing. Suddenly the man stopped and stared straight at Dali. His cold gaze felt like he was sizing up prey. Ruth quickly pulled out her phone to call the police. But of course there was no signal. And just as they feared, the man came barreling out in a pickup truck. He rammed into their car over and over again. But after the third or fourth hit, he suddenly gave up and turned away. The two of them finally let out a sigh of relief. They could have just left then and there. But Dali believed there might be a living person inside those bags. He couldn't just walk away. Ruth reluctantly agreed to go back. As they returned to the man's property, a deafening chorus of crows echoed overhead. But Dali's curiosity only grew stronger. He leaned over the pipe and shined his flashlight inside, then slipped and fell straight into the tunnel. Luckily he only cut his palm. But the second he stood up, a hand grabbed him from behind. Dali realized someone was still alive inside one of the bags. He tore a hole in the fabric. Inside was a man gasping for breath, and his stomach had a grotesque stitched wound. It looked like something had been sewn into him. Before Dali could speak, the man died on the spot. Then Dali noticed the tunnel was filled with bags just like that one. Suddenly a drop of liquid landed on his shoe. He looked up and saw countless naked corpses, molded into wax figures embedded in the walls. Among them were two of his own friends. Once he escaped, Dali was too traumatized to speak. They rushed to a nearby diner to call for help, but as they picked up the phone, it rang first. A woman on the other end described everything that just happened, but gave no useful information.
Fuck you, lady!
The siblings called the police and explained the whole situation. The officers were skeptical, until a panicked waitress ran over. She said she saw the man from earlier. He had broken into their car, and was creepily sniffing their clothes. Other customers saw him too, but by the time they looked again, the man had vanished. However, he left behind fingerprints on the car door. That finally convinced the police to believe them, but something was off. The fingerprints were flaky like powder. When the wind blew, they began to fade. The prints were sent back to headquarters. Later, a radio message came in. Officers who were sent to the man's home found it burned to the ground. There was no sign of a basement, no bodies. And the reason the fingerprints turned to dust was because the man had been dead for a long time. Just as the officer said this, a loud thump hit the roof of the car. The female cop looked out the window, only to see a tall figure clinging to the roof. Second later, she was pulled straight out of the car.